Hi, I'm Mark from Property Ventures. Welcome to this week's New Zealand Property Podcast, where we interview the property expert around New Zealand. Hi, and welcome back to the latest New Zealand Property Podcast and video series. And got today sitting next to me Vijay from Oaks Property Management, the big boss, the honcho, who runs the ship. Welcome to the show.
Thank you, Mark, and thank you for having me.
A pleasure, and I've known Vijay for several years when he used to be a big shot at another company, in fact, and invested quite a lot many years ago. So we're going to talk about property management today. We haven't talked about property management for a year or two here, so we'll get right into it, if you don't mind, Vijay, and just talk about why property management, why an investor needs a property manager.
Thank you, Mark. I mean, that's I guess a good segue for us to get into this discussion. Property management, I guess, is from a technical perspective, is a very specialized skill. Mm-hmm. There are various facets or elements of property management that one needs to understand to ensure that you manage your properties effectively, not just from a financial returns perspective, but also more importantly these days is from a compliance perspective as well. The compliance issues are, I guess, building up day by day, and all these obviously adds costs. So by not having property managers, and when I said property managers, appropriate property managers who understand and know the game, you could run into a lot of both financial and also, I guess, compliance risks. Recently, there has been a lot of, I guess, media hype about slump landlords, for example. And this is where we educate landlords. I mean, we provide that knowledge in terms of what is the best way to, I guess, rent out your property, making sure that the risks that are emanating from your properties are well mitigated, and it gets you a good return and puts you in a good position to, I guess, grow. The other aspect in terms of why property management is that it frees up investors' time. Mm-hmm. Yep. So you leave that aspect of running around, chasing tenants for rent, sorting out your maintenance issues, taking that old phone call that happens in the middle of night, the pipe's broken, you name it, that all happens in odd hours. So you sort of give that away at a very minimum fee, but at the same time it frees up your time to focus on further investment or other aspects of life you want to do.
Invest and go and talk to people like us to look at other properties to buy.
Absolutely, and that's probably where we complement each other in a way that freeing up investors' time is something that we work quite hard so that we take all that problem away, we solve that problem, and bring peace of mind for our investors.
Mm. Absolutely, and then one of the things, I mean, there's so many good and not so good property managers out there, and one of the things I like about what you do. Let's carry it on, I'll fix that. What you do here is you're all investors yourself, so you understand what a property investor is trying to achieve. There's so many property managers out there, they have no idea, and as you said, one of the most important things is having systems in place to handle when someone's late for rent or there's an issue, sort of thing. So
that's a good point, Mark. I mean, you realize that the property management industry is not regulated. It's a deregulated industry. So any man and his dog can become a property manager today. You wake up in the morning, you want to become a property manager. There's nothing stopping you from registering a business and doing property management. But I guess where the issue is emanating is that without really understanding the aspects around investment, without really understanding the compliance obligations, the risk, it becomes quite risky for landlords or owners, investors as such, to give your property away to young property managers who don't understand the game.
Yeah.
And what it would lead to is it could lead to you into bigger problems. For us, given that the property management industry is not regulated, that is one of the challenges that has brought us into this business. And what we have got as our internal standard is that we are accredited to ISO 9001 quality service standards. Mm-hmm. What it enables us to do is to establish standards, training regimes, set up, processes and systems which allows us to effectively manage properties in terms of rental returns, compliance, and so forth. We, in a nutshell, we sort of are of the similar view, where we do need some level of regulation or standards in the industry. It is quite raw in that regard.
I'm sure that must happen in time, like real estate agents are. I'm sure that will happen. I was one of those non-regulated people about 7 years ago and started a property management business up in Blenheim for a year and a half, and it was a hell of a learning curve for me, and it also taught me that I never want to manage my own properties again. And the regulations now are so, the government are bringing out all these rules, it's so different than it was 7 years ago and so much harder. And in fact, I just had Ashley Church on this series about 5 speakers ago, and he was a figure that stunned me was that there's only about 35% of landlords actually use property managers, and those other 60 odd percent there are asking for trouble moving forward the way the government are bringing in all these new rules and regulations.
Yes, I mean that's one of the common things we see in the industry is that our new businesses recently we saw a spike that is happening in the properties that our guys are bringing properties with issues, where owners have run into trouble with either with the tenancy aspects or with the issues around council compliance and you name it. So that's where I guess it's important that you engage someone professional right at the outset. And it helps you to, I guess, mitigate all those issues. And also, I mean, in the long term, in the long run, what you will see is that your rate or your return on investment using a property manager will be quite high, given that your vacancy rates come down. There is consistency in terms of quality tenants in your property. Your maintenance bill could be well below what I guess you do when you have to do it yourself, because we use competitive, I guess, contractors. Also, we have preventative maintenance program that helps you to prevent bigger maintenance issues down the track.
Yeah, thanks, Vijay. And the next sort of question I was going to talk about risk. We've already covered some of them, I guess, but
Sure.
Do you want to expand a few more on other risks that you see? And I guess one of them is not so why I don't want to be in looking after my property anymore. There's so much compliance, what have you, to look after, and that's where you guys are in the shit now, not us if it goes wrong. Is that right?
Yeah. No, absolutely. Look, I mean, risk is everywhere in life, be it, your normal day-to-day stuff, you're driving on the road, but investment is a very, I guess, significant asset that you purchase. So when you're looking at rental property in Auckland, for example, you're looking probably $1 million. And if that asset is not well managed, one first impact would be on your financial aspect. So that's a huge risk when it comes to your livelihood and what you've invested and what rates of returns you were expecting. So we help, I guess, mitigate those risks. The other burning issue that is coming up more and more so under the current, I guess, political climate is around compliance. So we understand that there were some changes under the previous government on the Residential Tenancies Act around smoke alarms, and now the insulation. Now with the Healthy Homes Bill coming into play very soon, that will again add another layer of compliance, I guess, complexities, and along with that is also cost. So there's also changes in Residential Tenancies Act that are coming into play that will impact into how long, for example, you can give notices to tenants to vacate your property and things like that. So we understand all that, and we make sure that all those aspects are factored into our systems and processes so we can follow that through. The other key issue, I guess, that is coming up more and more often these days is around health and safety. So the properties that you sort of let to tenants are deemed under health and safety regulation as a place where you conduct business.
Yep.
So any health and safety hazards that are present at the property that you fail to identify, that you fail to mitigate, you could technically be personally liable for that. And one of the other aspects, or one of the other, I guess, codes of practice or legislation that is underpinning this health and safety regulation is the asbestos regulation. So that came into effect as of 1st April of this year. And what it means is that in your properties that are built before 2000, you have to do an asbestos assessment done. So if you're buying a property, it's very important that part of your DD, you do an asbestos assessment done. And if there is an asbestos present, although it's not disturbed, you still need to have a proper asbestos management plan in place. Right. So contractors come in, they follow the right protocols. So these are, I guess, a quick snapshot of what are the types of risks that you encounter when you are dealing with investment properties. So I guess our systems, processes, and our training, upskilling of staff encompasses various stages of this risk management that upskills our staff to ensure that these are managed and mitigated along the way.
Yeah, there's just so much to think about already. Asbestos was a good point before, so you must work closely with your investors, working through any issues that you find during looking after their property.
Absolutely. Right now, we are working through a property in Papakura, for example, that needs some work done, and we are organizing asbestos professionals to come and do an assessment. And then we will manage the asbestos management plan in terms of which contractor comes in, are the contractors qualified to manage asbestos, and things like that. What are the induction plans when contractors come on site? So a whole raft of that gets, I guess, managed quite, I guess, systematically through when we're dealing with asbestos.
Okay. Had a good point there for people listening. When people get turned off properties for so many reasons, not property management here, educational point. And we had a place that's recently, in fact we had a place where someone thought asbestos was there. A builder said, you should get it checked out, it probably has got asbestos, and the vendor, the purchaser could have run, but they didn't. And as it turned out, they'd actually had a report and they had no asbestos in the place. It just looked like it. And but even if it has, that is still not necessarily a reason to run away. You may be able to come up with a maintenance plan, and I guess that's where you guys kick in with a maintenance plan on a lot of properties you have, whatever the case may be. It may be if you've got a weatherboard or an older 80-year-old home, but you have a maintenance plan you need to keep updating. I guess you suggest to the vendors after your inspections when they should be doing different bits and pieces.
Correct. And finally, I guess coming back onto the commercial side of things, in terms of your rate of returns. So here at Oaks, what we have done, we have kind of innovated the sort of standard tenancy aspects where you advertise in the traditional way on a trade me and wait for the phone to ring, and then you move a tenant in at what market rate, and that's it. What we do is that we create various initiatives, one to see how we can, I guess, improve the rental return. There are cosmetic aspects that can be done on the property. If your property is large enough, we could also look at the aspects around renting by room, where we have really amplified some of the properties that we have taken. For example, the Great North Road Matthews property, where I think the initial rental income was somewhere around 45-50K. Right now, by just doing rent by room, we're getting 170 plus K, and he's smiling away. So those are the things that we bring in. The other things that aspect that we are working on right now is where we can guarantee rents for 52 weeks.
Okay.
So we are working with various social organizations / MSD, which is now Ministry of Urban Development. And we deal directly with them, where we work with these social providers to house people coming into town, slightly deprived families, be it refugees. In those cases, they pay market rent or sometimes above market rent, 52 weeks guaranteed rent, and wear and tear maintenance are included as well. So we bring, I guess, these kind of initiatives back on the table where the returns are much better than a traditional way of just renting out your property.
That's like any new, the business you're looking at getting into. Do they have initiatives? Are they on the edge of what that the industry is doing? And we try to do the same with new ways of doing things, and certainly you guys are certainly doing that, and that's what you should be looking for when you're looking for a company of getting in there. I know I recently rented a property through you guys and through Oaks, and I think it was within a day. You didn't even have to advertise. You had a tenant moving in that property, and that was great. I got it at a better rent than I thought I'd potentially get for it.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that feedback. I mean, this is I guess the breakthrough we have. Our vacancy rates are probably the best in the industry, and it's a testament of the way we operate. So we have provisions within our even existing tenancy agreements where we can come and advertise a property once you have given us notice. So by the time the tenant moves out, we've got someone more or less lined up to move into the property within days. Yeah. And we always have a very active live database of tenants who are looking in various parts of of Auckland in particular, and we sort of line them up as soon as something becomes available.
Great. So now I've got you, and finally, after 4 years, found a property management company I can trust that thinks and works a little bit like us. We will get you back, in every 3 or 4 months, and just have a wee update of what's going on, because property management is an evolving thing right now, especially with the Labor-led government in there. Are most of your clients property investors? When you say property investors, I'd say obviously they're all property investors of some sort. Are they property investors that you own several properties? Is that your
look, I mean, we don't specialize in terms of the number of properties. Mm-hmm. We have got a lot of clients who have 1 or 2 properties. We also got clients who have quite a few clients on our books who have got up to 50 properties, 25, 30 properties. So it's a one sort of approach for all. Mm-hmm. We manage it the way we would manage one property owner versus how would we manage a larger portfolio. There are some initiatives we do for larger portfolios that's probably worth, considering. One is that if you have a larger portfolio, we sync or we combine all your inspections within a week or 2.
Okay. Yeah.
And then what we do is every quarter we do a financial report and your issues and all that, summarize all that, and we do come back to you with a proper quarterly report. In that way, in one snapshot, if you are having 10, 15 properties, you'll get to know what's the status, where things are going well, where things that need some improvement in your portfolio, and we'll set up some targets for the next 3 months. We'll work through that, come back to you after we have done the next round of inspections.
That'll make your accountants happy.
It does. I mean, exactly. And at the end of the year, we provide a very detailed report, or financial report on that as well. So go straight to your accountants, painless in terms of going through your shoe boxes and finding where the invoices are.
Yeah. Been there, done that a few years ago.
Yes.
And just one last thing, you've touched on healthy homes. Is there anything more you want to add on healthy homes?
Thank you, Mark. Yes, the Healthy Homes Bill has been amplified by the current government. There were initiatives already in place by the previous government, but this government has brought into play what needs to be done in terms of healthy homes. The key aspects around healthy homes is, one is that the indoor temperature of a property. So what would be an ideal temperature? It's a little bit up in there. There's some, noise that needs to be around 18 degrees, but that standard has not been established yet. The other aspects is around what sort of heating systems you use within your property. Is it energy efficient? You just don't put an old rattly pump that then beefs up the tenant's electricity bill. Yep. Insulation, this has already been standardized, so the insulation standards out there, and it's due by the 1st July, I think, next year, to have it in place. So we are working through that. Ventilation, I think, is good in both ways, because owners also reap the benefit of their property not getting damaged, and at the same time the tenants need to follow through what are the ventilation aspects of the property. Moisture, how does the moisture ingress, or if there are cracks, leaks into the property, it's not sealed properly, door, window sills and so forth, if moisture is coming in, that needs to be rectified under the Healthy Homes Bill. And drought stopping in terms of, again, a similar concept like moisture, what sort of enters into the property without any proper control. So these are the key elements. Other than insulation, the other aspects of standards as to what levels and things like that are not established yet. Right. From July next year, and then it will have at least a 2 to 3 year period by which we should all become compliant.
Right.
So it's something to really watch out for. Watch out for in the sense that it could and it will add up a lot of costs as to owners. What we are trying to do and what we are doing is that we are working on what would be a good solution for some of these aspects around compliance. We are working with our tradies and also our suppliers to see what could be a good option to supply heat pumps, for example, at a much discounted price, and things like what we could do around insulation, for example. Right now we are working with parties who are probably doing insulation at around 60-70% of the market rate. So because of our, commercial spread and the volume of business, we are able to, harness some of these savings for our clients.
No, that's great. Just back a step there, you talked about one of my hates as a landlord is tenants never opening curtains and letting talk about the ventilation type thing. Do you educate the tenants, and how does that sort of happen?
That's a good question, Mark. Our philosophy, and there's two things that we
heavily build our business on. One is relationship, and the other one is education. So tenants, we treat them with utmost respect because they pay us, and having a good relationship with tenant means that we can then influence them. So educating tenants, what we do is that when tenant moves in to a property, what we call is tenant induction. Our property managers who are letting agents, one of their requirements is to sit down with the tenants and go through a induction pack. It's about an hour and a half program, and it's about 25-30 pages long, where we go step by step in terms of what do we mean by advance rent. This is how advance rent works. What do we mean by ventilation? This is how you ventilate the property. What do we mean by by just using a simple plunger to unblock a sink, so that I don't have to call a plumber in the weekend and get $300 charge for it. So education is part of it. It's a very strong part of our management services.
Okay, great stuff. Okay, well, on the education, I'm going to get you back again, but on the education side, anything else you want to add? Or?
I think the other key element is that the owner education.
Yes. Yep.
I mean, I must say that some of our current owners, we are pushing hard to get insulation done.
Right.
And while we are providing them the commercial benefit, some of these things might get a little bit out of control when it comes very close to the due date of this insulation being, I guess, enforced. And that's when the prices of the insulation might go 2-3 folds up. So this kind of education, I guess there are other elements around how to optimize your rental returns. We'll be very keen to, I guess, be part of those sessions.
It must be extremely hard time for your profession, because of all the extra costs the government are bringing on, and we've heard a lot of landlords are going to stop owning properties. I don't know if you've seen much of that at all, or it's just a continual education, as you said. But it must be some people do struggle with. They want to spend $3,000 the next 2 years on whatever it might be, and maintenance, and all of a sudden it's the government said, hey, you need $6,000 or whatever it might be.
Yeah, look, and in terms of the challenges, we are not again anywhere or form faced by it. We are passionate about property management, and we love what we do. So the aspects that are coming from a compliance, legislative, I guess, cost perspective, our challenge is to see how we can add more value to the owners, minimize the cost, and make sure that they are legally compliant.
Right. Okay. No, great stuff. Well, I've certainly had a good experience so far with Oaks Property Management and yourself. I've known you for a long time, as I said. It's not all about a sales thing for you, but you better tell people how to get hold of you in case they want to.
Thank you, Mark. I thought that was not allowed.
Well, we don't promote really business, but
that's all good. Look,
if we know someone that works, why not tell them?
Absolutely. I just wanted to highlight one more point, is that we specialize only in property management, so we don't do sales. And this is something that while the opportunity is out there, we have decided not to. Why? Because we just want to do one thing, and we want to do it well. And that's what we are doing. So if you need any help, any, I guess, queries, anything you want to know about property management, if you need any help with your current portfolio, just log on to our website, www.oaksproperty.co.nz, or you can call us on 0800 888 223, 0800 888 223. Thank you so much, Mark.
Great stuff. Hey, thank you very much, Vijay. We'll get you back again. You've done a good job, and thank you for taking so much.
Cheers. Thanks.